Hello, hello. How are you doing today? This is our Search SEO AI digest of the week. We do them every week on Wednesdays, 1 p.m. EST. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. We are waiting for a few more people to join us. I see that our numbers are growing. So, just a quick update from the search community, which is not news, but it's a good timing to talk about that because everything is over at this point. We've had 4 algorithmic updates from Google starting in November. They were all back to back. So it's really hard to troubleshoot at this point because they were coming very quickly. The longest one was in November. I think it started like November 11th and took about 3 weeks to complete. So it was done in December. And that was core algorithm update. For everyone who doesn't know, core algorithm updates are usually when Google updates something in their algorithm, whether it's introducing a new system or what we call intent shifts when they start handling different queries differently and understanding more about them and including that in the algorithm. So there is no one single problem that could be diagnosed from the core algorithm update. Sites that were impacted by it will usually wait for the next update, for the next core update to see any improvements if they did any changes to their site. The best way to troubleshoot that update is to look at the queries that are sending less traffic. Usually that's from your Search Console. Checking what happened with those search result pages. Those could be new sections added or your competitors are ranking on top of you. Usually you do not lose a lot of positions, but because you can lose 1 or 2 and someone started outranking you, you will lose a lot of traffic for that. Also, AI overviews can be the problem for the loss of the traffic. So there are so much going on, but regularly look at your important search result pages for your important search queries and see what's changing there because every change will usually impact your traffic. Next update came in about 2 or 3 days after that one, also in December. It took on another core algorithm update. We didn't know, Google didn't tell us why they did that additional core algorithm update because they usually happen every quarter, and in those 2 months we had 2 back-to-back core algorithm updates. I've seen a lot of reports that update was devastating for many sites, especially those that were previously hit by helpful content update 2 years ago, 1 year ago. I'm already losing track here, but those that saw some recoveries during core updates this year lost a lot of traffic again in December, right before holidays, which makes it even harder to diagnose because holidays are usually very fluctuating traffic. Someone sees much more traffic, someone sees much less traffic. So when it's an algorithm update on top of that, it usually takes a lot of weeks to figure out what actually happened. After that, we saw spam updated, and I think I'm losing some spam update happened right over Christmas. It took another week. If you don't know what a spam update is, search in Google Google spam policies, and it's a good list of everything that Google considers spam. And if you have been doing anything that is listed there, you may have lost some traffic over that update. And somewhere in the middle of those 3 algorithmic updates, we also had site reputation abuse update, which is not algorithmic, it's manual, and it impacts sites that use their domain power, their site authority, to host something irrelevant, different, on their sites and abuse that reputation to get those that section ranking higher in Google. Again, this is manual. We do expect it to become algorithmic sometime this year. So keep an eye on our chats here and we will update you if that happens. Now that we have a lot of people having joined us, let me give a quick introduction. I'm Anne Smarty. I'm the co-founder of Smarty Marketing. We are a boutique SEO agency based in New York. I've been doing SEO for more than 20 years now. I came from Ukraine about 12, 13 years ago to continue working as an SEO in the United States as well. And that's why I co-founded my own company. April is our director of social. She's bringing you non-SEO perspective to these chats because SEO is not her profession. She's our social media person, our outreach person, our designer, but not an SEO. So her questions usually relate to our viewers much more than I can appreciate because I've been in this industry and I've seen too much for too long. So I don't usually realize that people may not understand what I'm saying. Thank you so much for joining. We do have a newsletter. It lives at its own domain, annesmarty.com. And I also republish it to Medium and LinkedIn. Connect to me on LinkedIn to get notified of new newsletter episodes, but also subscribe over at annesmarty.com. That's where we announce every topic for every week. And that's how you will know what we're going to discuss and will be able to see references, screenshots, or just follow along and understand much more of what I'm saying. Today, we are going to talk about a very old SEO concept that is duplicate content penalty, which is not exactly a penalty. It's algorithmic. It's a separate system that exists inside Google's algorithm. So it's nothing that can punish your site, but it is definitely something that can filter out some of your pages from ranking in Google. So it is important to be aware of that and know what to do about it. Google describes it's called deduplication. I would say it's also diversification of search results. Google doesn't want similar or same pages show up in Google too much, or pages from the same domain too much. They want to diversify their search engine search result pages, and that's why this system exists. First of all, the basic of that is just filtering out two similar pages or pages that serve the same search intent for the same search queries. And that is usually internal problem unless you republish your content or provide APIs of your content for people to show that automatically on their sites. The main thing here is to keep an eye that if you have similar products, if you have similar product categories, if you have similar content, if you syndicate your content somewhere else like I do with Medium and LinkedIn, you need to make sure that your original page or the page with the best, most up-to-date information is showing up in Google higher than everything else. You don't want your syndicated content to rank on top of Google, which is usually what happens. And I think we discussed syndicated content previously, or maybe I wrote about it, or maybe both. When you syndicate content to you basically republish the same article somewhere else. If that platform has a lot of authority like LinkedIn, if it has a lot of reputation in Google, this these articles can rank higher than your original site. There is not much you can do about that, unfortunately. Even with some platforms that allow canonical tags showing, pointing Google to the original source of the information, like Medium allows that, it may still overrank that because canonical tags are just for Google hints. They are not directives. Google may ignore them. So if you syndicate, if you publish your content on third-party domains, that is the risk you will have to deal with. Many people will tell you, well, those clicks, that visibility is still worth it. And it's okay. There is no, again, penalty. Just because you republish your content somewhere else, Google doesn't think worse of you. So it doesn't impact your actual domain or other pages of your site. So it is okay if you are okay with that, but that's the risk that every content provider has to keep in mind, because there is not much we can do about that. It may overrank your republished content, may overrank your original domain for search queries, and it's your choice whether you keep republishing and keeping in mind that risk, or you stop that tactic and focus on your organic search visibility, which I personally do not do. I'm okay if other pages, not my site, ranks in Google, because I want to be seen. And if those platforms rank well and those domains rank well in Google, I'll take that. But that's the personal choice for every content provider out there. One huge red flag with this while we are here is that there are also lots of content scrapers that use your content without your permission, usually automatically. And usually it's not a problem because Google knows that's not a real site. It doesn't have a lot of great signals. Sometimes it does when it's on expired domains, but Google can still, in most cases, figure out that's not something that they want to rank in Google. So when the scraped content from your domain overranks your site, this may be a red flag that something is profoundly wrong and usually technically wrong with your site. So this is something I would definitely look into when you check your rankings in Google. Keep in mind that you want to rank on top of any scraped content out there, because Google should know, and usually it does know when it's a scraped version of your original content. So this is something I would definitely look into. There are several more types of deduplication systems that Google describes. One of them is featured snippet deduplication. I forgot when it happened, maybe about 5 years ago at this point. All I remember is that I was talking about featured snippets the same day Google deduplicated them. So I had to rework all my presentations saying something like, I don't know where it's going, but this is what happened today. It does, why we were sad when that happened, so let me go back a little bit. So what is featured snippet deduplication? So featured snippets are quick answers that Google collects from a website that does the best job answering search query, and those featured snippets show up on top of organic search results, so they are artificially pushed. It's not their organic position. They're artificially pushed on top of everything. Usually Google picks one of the top ranking URLs to feature, and it goes on top of everything. It should be good news if you are featured, and usually it is, but what we have found over the years that featured snippets are not that well clicked, because by design they already give a great answer, and people may just be willing to scroll down to find additional information about something. So they're not as clickable as we would like to, or not as clickable as normal organic position number 1, or maybe not even as clickable as number 2. So you need to keep an eye on those. If you see a little bit of less clicks than you used to, and without the loss of position, you're still ranking number one. It may be that you are being featured. And again, not much we can do here. It's just something you will have to deal with that loss. And we do not recommend de-optimizing your pages not to get featured, because that may lead to losing organic positions as well. So we don't usually we don't suggest doing anything about that loss. That is something you will have to deal with. Another type of deduplication is top stories. When there is some news going on, a huge trend going on, Google will show top stories from news outlets. And at this point, they will not usually they will not rank organically for the same search query. It's not a huge loss. I think these top stories are clicked much better than featured snippets. So you would really see a boost in clicks if your story is featured in top stories, but not organically. And the last one that has nothing to do with actual content on the page is deduplication of domains. This happened even before featured snippet deduplication. I think it was like 10 years ago when Google said, we don't want your domain to rank for the same search query more than once. Sometimes it can be twice for really strong navigational queries, but usually it's just once. This is very important for branded search. That is very important asset for your brand. Keep in mind that you have at least 10 organic search results for your branded search query, something like brand name reviews, product reviews. But you can only rank your domain once for each of those branded search queries. So all the 9 or even search sections people also ask, all of that you need to keep an eye on and figure out. Maybe you should better reply to comments on Trustpilot or something, because it may be ranking for your branded search, and maybe you need to do something else. Create another page on another domain that like FAQs, for example. There are a lot of, I think even Amazon has a lot of domains that they are using for that purpose. Like they have about Amazon domain, they have Amazon domain for affiliates, and with all of those domains actually host FAQs on that topic, and that gives them one more position to rank for branded search queries. So it's not a bad idea as well, especially if you're a strong brand, very well searched. You need to control as many branded search results as you can. And with your domain, because of that deduplication system that Google is using, you can only rank once. And that is something to always keep in mind. So I think that is all for duplicate content. Penalty, again, I keep saying penalty just because everyone refers to it in our industry, but it's not really penalty. It's filtering out some of the results, which happens algorithmically, and that is something to always keep an eye on and know what's going on and why you may have lost traffic, because the duplicate content deduplication can actually result in a loss of organic search visibility. So just saying it's a myth, like the rest of our SEO experts would tell you, is not really solving the problem, because that is a problem in many cases. In some cases it's not, but in many cases it is a problem, and whether we stop calling it a penalty or we keep doing that isn't really, to me, that important. People need to know about that. Website owners need to know what it is and how it works, and I hope this video shed some light on that topic a little bit. And I know April has a few questions, and I don't see, there are some comments too. So if you have any questions, please post them on your social media where you're watching us from. We stream live to LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, and I don't think Instagram is working because we need to do something manually for it to streamline to stream to Instagram. But that we will fix that at some point. We will also be back to Instagram as well. So ask your questions on that social platforms that you are watching us from, and whether we cover it now or whether I always check most of those social media platforms after we are done talking, and I also reply to those comments as well. And again, subscribe to nsmartu.com, and then with that, I'm ready to questions.
I actually just came up with this one. Like you mentioned, having your newsletter also on like Medium and those kind of platforms. Like if it's duplicate content, but you have like a link in it to the original content, could that pass on the power to the original content?
It's probably passing power. I'm always linking everywhere to my nsmartu domain for that hope, mostly for clicks, really. I want people to actually go to my domain. But I would take any SEO risk here because I'm also building communities through that republished content, LinkedIn following and engagement, Medium community and subscribers. So I am taking SEO risks, even though as an SEO, I do what I need to do to try and help my main domain to rank, which is on Medium. I use canonical tags and link to nsmartu.com. On LinkedIn, I always link to nsmartu.com in hopes that people not will just click those links and subscribe to my main newsletter, but also hoping that Google will pass some signals through those links, even though they are no follow. But who cares at this point?
Yeah. So does the entire page have to be a copy for it to be considered duplicate content, or like could just repeated sections also fall into that?
Well, repeated sections, I wouldn't say that is a problem. They exist on most about any website. Those could be testimonials, that could be about us, that could be something else. So I wouldn't be worried because Google does know it's something that we use for not for SEO, but for people engagement, leads, and so on. But when the one page is the same as the other page, that's the worst case scenario. Usually it's something to fix, and usually it does happen a lot when you create extra categories on your WordPress and they are the same articles that other category, or that could be different products but a little same products but a little bit different specs, like specifications, and then those very similar pages. It could be product categories, the same as blog categories could be very similar, especially on Shopify. We've been dealing with those collections on Shopify that are the same product range over and over again. So they could be little, not the same exactly, but very similar. And that is confusing. This is confusing to Google, not that they are penalizing you for that, but that is confusing to Google. In our old school SEO rule was not really to spam Google, which is something which is our reputation, but our main goal for as an SEO is always do not confuse Google. Give it exactly what it is. Don't let Google pick or choose or figure out. Usually they do figure out. They do pick the best version. But in SEO, the main goal is to make it easier for Google so that it doesn't spend much time figuring out which URL they should be filtering out and which they should be serving. So doing your best to avoid any confusion is actually the goal of technical SEO.
Question from Todd.
Does repurposing content cause any signal mix-ups? Like you write your newsletter, but you do a video about the same content. It might. Sometimes, because I'm an SEO, I try to figure out a different title for my video, so that it is not competing with my main domain, for example. But I really don't care much anymore about that, just because there is a section for just about anything in Google these days. Videos usually do not compete with organic search results because they have their own section, and they're served there. And overall, even if I'm not an SEO, I try to my repurposing and repackaging and republishing content isn't happening for Google. Let's put it like that. I really don't care at this point what Google will think, because I get many more benefits from being everywhere than not doing that for SEO, you know. So it might cause some confusion, but I wouldn't be obsessed about that, because repurposing of your content is not actually for SEO. It's for reaching out to more platforms, to more communities, building up your visibility through that. And I would, even if it's a little bit causing some confusion, I'm okay with that. And I would rather do that anyways. And it's not really possible to rename your different pieces of content everywhere differently to help Google figure out or rank or something like that. I don't have time for that. So for clients, I would probably be looking more carefully into that, because usually they not so much into social and communities and more focused on organic visibility. So for many clients, I would be suggesting something like renaming your video or your infographic into something that is not competing with your actual site. Like even when we post on Reddit, of our infographics, we never actually use the same language from the original site, because Reddit ranks, and we don't want to diversify those visibility and rankings as well. So it can be different, but if your goal is to build up a community, it's probably not for SEO or any signals like that. So, and that's for myself, I don't really care.
Yeah, sometimes the community has to come first.
Yes.
Like, what are some ways to find duplicate content on your site that you may not be aware of?
Well, crawling, definitely. Things like Screaming Frog do a good job of alerting you of the content you can filter out, you can sort there, you can download your crawl to Excel and figure out your the same content from there. I usually look at titles. They are a great signal of the same content that is repeated twice. If two pages have the same or similar title tags, usually they have the same or similar content as well. So I use it. I look at titles and I look at H1s and try to find similar or same pages using that method.
Relevant to the previous question.
Let's say you write an article on data, but then you create a comprehensive infographic. I hear what you're saying, though. Yes, so if you do different types of content, and that's something we just discussed as well, and you hope that that content will be discovered through organic search. That's what we do with infographics as well. It is a good idea to focus on SEO signals. It is a good idea to find slightly different wording for your main article, for your infographic, and for your video. And that will diversify organic search queries, driving traffic to all those assets. And you will let more people find them that way. But that's usually, and that's what we do with our infographics as well. But if you do not care so much about being discovered, that this asset is discovered through search, like none of my live broadcasts will ever drive organic search visibility to my site, because they are very community driven. They are inside organic, inside LinkedIn. They are not linked that much. All I care is that nsmarty.com is being found in search. All my articles are being found in search. And because those could drive additional subscribers, additional leads. So it can be different. And for me, what I discovered, and I tried for many projects in my life, I did this content repackaging. And trust me, I tried doing a little video, a huge video, then an article, and coming up with different keywords for all of that is just too time consuming to the point that it impacts my productivity. So I cannot do that every week. For example, I will have to sit on every video for a month at least. And I would, in this case, I chose to focus on social and community and forget about Google because it's not my goal here. And it actually prevents me from doing these videos more often if I started thinking about Google too much. But yes, it can depend on your actual goals and what you want to achieve with every project, every asset that you are working on. So it could be different strategy in different cases.
Like with our infographics, we usually will have like a full article that's keyword rich, and sometimes we even have like a video. So it's like a whole big page, and all the signals can come into that. But also we can take pieces of it and put it into communities and stuff like that. So so it's just goodness all around.
Yes, and it's usually like think what you can do. Sometimes you need to do this less frequently and focus on actual organic search visibility more than social. I chose to do this weekly, and I do videos and articles every week, and it's just not doable to also care what Google thinks about that, because I would not be able to do this weekly if I thought, hey, I will create a video, I will optimize it differently, I don't do that with this particular activity, because it would prevent me from being on social every week, and I'm focusing on social media here. And with that, if you have any more questions, please keep them coming. I will check all social media platforms, and I will reshare some of these videos for more visibility as well. So stay tuned. Next week, same time, we don't have any huge holidays for now, so we can now again meet weekly. So Wednesday, 1 p.m. EST here on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or on Facebook. Follow us, and you will be alerted when we're going live, and subscribe to my newsletter nsmarty.com to be updated with everything that we are going to discuss on Wednesday. Thank you so much. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.